Hello and welcome. This is Alchemist X, and this is a weekly update for October 21st. So this week we have got 3 new units, and they are Memento units, and they sought after Ninja Trio. Now, well, mostly Ugachi, and secondarily Celis and Tanosuke less so. But talk a little bit more about that later in the banner overview. So that was a little bit of a surprise, but not too crazy of a shakeup because in the Japanese release history, they came out right around the same time that the Genesis Chapter 7 came out. So maybe they weren't expected this exact week, but within the next few weeks, definitely. Personally, I was hoping it would come after Genesis so I could see where my gems were after that dust is settled, but that's a whole nother discussion. So my initial impression of Ugachi, at the very least, is he's very, very strong and definite raid meta potential, and very, very inexpensive for how powerful he is. More on that later. Other than that, there's a couple of noteworthy things in that you can get a lot of free limited shards over the next several weeks, with one character featured per day, 15 shards for each character. It's not a lot, but if you're within 15 shards of maxing a gate, that could be pretty nice. So yeah, so far this build up to the anniversary is definitely not too bad. But with that, let's take a closer look at the content. Okay, so real quick, I forgot to mention this in the intro, but Morrigan and Era as well got a Memento. And it's very, very strong, or at least it looks really good on paper, just because of it gives them stats that they want. Especially in the case of Morrigan, it gives cast reduction, and then at max limit break, gives skill use +1. And given that she has one of the best single target nukes in terms of fire magic, that's a pretty big deal. I wish they'd done a little bit better job giving notice for that, because I didn't even see that on the news tab until yesterday. So that was kind of awkward. But yeah, if you're really into Morrigan, that's a very good Memento. It seems like it's pretty good for Era as well, just because it gives her slash mod and crit damage, and also it's just a better alternative to original Memento, which is really not that great, aside from the VCR. The other thing I mentioned in the intro was the daily units for soul shards. So the calendar for them looks like this. I assume most people that watch my channel are going to be playing every day anyway, but just in case you can't play every day, or just some days are more busy than others, I just take note of these dates, and if there's any of these characters where 15 shards is a really big deal, then take notes. Okay, that's all I got for that. Another quick reminder is that the challenge board for the elemental shards is a little less than 2 weeks away from expiring. And for me, it's been pretty slow just because I don't normally do that many multiplayer quests every day. And I normally wouldn't get even close to 400, but that's easy to spam for the normal quests. So if you are like me and you've been kind of sluggish on the multiplayer quests, if you got a map clear, like map wide attack unit like Fury, Minerva, Narrow, etc., you could just spam a really easy level. Not the most fun use of time ever, but if you have another game that you play at the same time, it's something you could just on and off. If you don't have a map clearing unit, just a missile unit with big AoEs should be able to clear some of the earlier evolution material levels almost as quickly. Okay, let's get into the actual maps, and then we'll take a quick look at the shop, because there's some stuff that's in there that's pretty good too. So yeah, the anniversary quest I mentioned is at the very top. If you want to do the newest global Halloween event, that's in global events. I haven't had time to do this one yet, but I assume it's just shenanigans and a fairly gimmicky EX level at the end of it. And otherwise, that is about it for the map content. But yeah, real quick, there is a unit selector, gear selector, and memento selector in the anniversary shop, and they're fairly decently priced gem-wise, at 25 for the first two, and then 1500 for the gear. So if you're a veteran, you probably don't need to spend any gems on this, because it's all normal pool, and the items available are you probably could have gotten the last of what you needed with what we got for free. But if you're new, there's going to be a lot more units and mementos that you're going to want to get. So depending on where you are gem wise, it could be worth it to grab a memento or a particular gear from the selector, especially like if you don't have Kuden Scarf or something. But given that we got all of those things for free recently, it has less impact than it would have if we hadn't. But yeah, that is all I've got for the content segment. So let's now move on to the banner review. Okay, so this is a fairly straightforward week in terms of banners. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over everything except the Ninja Trio real quick, because we've seen all these banners before. And afterwards, I'll go into more detail about kind of my opinion of that banner and overall. Just spoiler alert, I think it's a really good deal. But let's look at everything else first. So there's a paid banner. I think it's a bad deal. I just think it's too expensive. And if you look at that pool, it's very diluted. It's definitely not worth that many paid gems in my opinion. Then we've got a relief banner, and I'm against these on principle. I just think that paid gems are too scarce to be spent on something like this. When you get a few reliefs for free every month, minimum. Then we've got one where pretty much same logic, just applies to free gems instead of paid gems. We just get so many for free that it just doesn't make sense to me to spend that many gems on it, even though, it's not the most expensive thing ever. And if you go all the way to the end, it is all right. But I just think most people would be better off chasing new things. Then we've got a 3-step that nobody should do. The 7-step for both these units and then also for the mementos. Same structure overall. I think these could be pretty good for people looking to burn discount tickets that are not interested in any of the new mementos that have just come out. So one thing to keep in mind for this banner is that there is a cutoff date, and that cutoff date is October. So if a memento that you would like to get came out this month, then this isn't going to help you for that. But there's a lot of good mementos that came out before October. And just competition from the other two banners, such as this one, where you can get Morrigan's new memento. Her old one is good too. The VCR is great for any M-Attack scaling fire unit. Emrys is great. Iris is not great, except for the VCR from it. So if you were lucky enough to get the new one for Morrigan, that'll help you with Era 2. She's an excellent unit. I feel bad because, if I didn't rely on Ainz so heavily for all my water slash needs, she would get a lot more screen time. Alright, finally, let's talk about some Ninja Trio. So I think it's an excellent deal. As I'm doing something that's kind of dumb, at least, resource-wise, and going for this meta unit who's going to cost 85,000 gems to guarantee. Whereas for less than a fourth of that cost, you could get Ugachi. And it's nice because it's a package deal. The memento and the unit come together. Also, memento units get their shards handed out much more freely because they can't be transmuted. So you can just right from the get-go just start enlightening him like crazy. And you can do it for just a tiny fraction of the cost of, what I'm going to end up doing. And if you are on the fence, this banner is around for another week. So if you wanted, you could wait until next reset and on that day make your decision and still be able to access the 7 days worth of the Soul Shard quest. But yeah, that's about it for this weekly update. So if you are going for Ugachi or one of the other ninjas, I wish you good luck and I will see you all next time.